Hello guys, going to be breaking down the Thursday night football showdown slate on DraftKings. Going to be starting to use the face cam, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. Maybe it makes up for some of my mic issues that I've had. It's not as clear, so maybe just reading kind of my lips it will help with the video. So starting off looking at the Jaguars side of the ball. Trevor Lawrence, the QB here. Of course, quarterbacks are always going to be in consideration for the captain spot on showdown slates. And look at his numbers, interceptions. He's done 7 in the past 3 games. They've been down. They're 0-3 now, and so 7 receptions. It should calm down. Just rookie QBs, they always have their struggles, but they're gonna figure it out, especially if Trevor Lawrence is going to be one of those generational type quarterbacks. Because they've been down, they have to just throw a lot, and of course, more passes lead to more interceptions. So this game, again, they're gonna be they're going to be an underdog here with the 19.5 implied team total, and they're 7-point dogs right now. So the positive game script definitely works in Trevor Lawrence's favor. You would like to see a higher game total just because it would mean more points are being scored, but again, showdown slates, quarterbacks are always going to be in play. They're usually always in the winning lineups, sometimes both of them. And then looking at the next guy, so James Robinson, he had a 58% snap share last week, but for running backs, I'm not too concerned about snaps just because when they're on the field, they usually do have some type of role. So he ran 15 routes in week 3, and then you compare it to Carlos Hyde, who played 35% of the snaps, running 11 routes. Now, of course, Carlos Hyde is going to be at a much cheaper price point. He is, I believe, 1,800 and 2,700. Thought of someone else. At 2,700, that's still, I mean, not great, but not bad. Just because for running backs, he can always just sneak a touchdown, vulture away from James Robinson, and actually seeing 11 routes is actually pretty intriguing. Just because Carlos Hyde hasn't really ever been a pass catcher, but of course I'm going to favor James Robinson. He's going to be the lead running back here on this team. But yes, it is a negative game script for running backs, but they do involve the running backs quite a bit in their passing game. So I would be totally fine with playing James Robinson, although I'd probably prefer one of these receivers. So getting into the receivers, we have Marvin Jones, DJ Chark, Louis Chenault. So looking at Marvin Jones, he's clearly been Trevor Lawrence's favorite target so far. So looking at his numbers, he's just seeing a lot of targets. The receptions are okay for the amount of targets that he's getting, and he's been getting some deep catches. He's getting the touchdowns, and of course, in another game where they should be trailing, there are going to be a lot of pass attempts to go around, and Marvin Jones has been the beneficiary here. So at 8,600, yes, he's going to be a fine play. He's probably going to be a little bit higher owned than DJ Chark and Louis because just of how well he's playing. Now, DJ Chark, I think is an interesting play, interesting pivot off of MJJ, because DJ Chark runs similar routes to Marvin Jones. They both are they have good ability to get the deep ball, but Marvin Jones just has been getting more of the volume, and that could definitely continue. But DJ Chark was supposed to be like one of the biggest or one of the big names that are going to be breaking out in terms of the wide receivers around the league. So this guy has a lot of potential. I would imagine that he's going to have better games just because he's dealing with a rookie quarterback. And showdown slate is going to be low owned, and yes, I'm going to really like DJ Chark. Now, Louis Chenault, he probably has to be ranked 3rd out of those guys because his routes are just a lot shorter. The A-dot, average depth of target, he's running a lot more short intermediate routes, and he's just not getting the same type of big play ability that he was able to exhibit last year. So that's a concern. Hopefully they do allow him to work deeper, but right now, there's no signs that that's going to change. So I'm just pretty concerned about him right now. But of course, he can make up for it with a lot of targets, though, if he gets a lot of catches, of course, because of PPR scoring on DK. And then on to, or we should talk about tight ends then, because of how James O'Shaughnessy did get hurt. He's on the IR. They went out and traded for Dan Arnold. So we're not sure what his role is going to be, just because it's only been a few days. He's going to have to learn the whole playbook. He's going to have to get it ready on a short week 2 with the Thursday night game. So I don't think Dan Arnold is going to play a ton of snaps. I think you're going to see a pretty big tight end by committee, actually. And Dan Arnold, he is more of a receiving tight end compared to other tight ends who usually are going to be known for their blocking, such as Luke Farrell, one of the other tight ends that they have on this team. But I would say that Farrell's going to be the guy that loses a lot of the snaps because basically have another tight end now who's a lot better. They did invest quite a bit in this guy because they traded for him, but or actually Carlos Hyde is 1800. My bad. I was on the captain spot. So for flex, yeah, Luke Farrell 200, sure, he's minimum, but I think there are other better options down here. But the guy is going to be Jacob Hollister, that I think is probably going to get a lot of ownership, but he was the guy that was getting a lot of snaps last week. He got 70% with 27 routes ran, and they priced Chris Manhurst, who played 35% of snaps in 3 routes, who is just a blocking tight end, at 2,400. So I think that's a mistake on their part, and Hollister's just by far the better play. So if you're trying to save Jacob Hollister's the guy from the Jaguars side, I take him over Arnold just because I think it's going to be close to kind of like a 50-50 split. But we're going to have to wait until the inactives and if there's any news that comes out about that. And then something else that I want to mention was James Agnew. So this guy has gotten 2 special teams touchdowns. He's the returner for this team, and I don't think he's going to make it 3 weeks in a row. But if you're trying to be different, trying to not tie because there are a lot of duplicate lineups and showdowns, he is one of the best return men in the league. And on special teams, if you pair him with the defense special teams here, you're going to be saving a ton of money. You're going to be able to pay up for the other 4 spots, basically get whoever you want. And if they go off for a touchdown, you're getting 2 touchdowns because it counts for both of them. And I'm not saying that's going to work. That's probably like a 1% chance of happening. But just to be different, nobody's going to do it. If it hits, then you're going to be rich. Now on to the Bengals side. So I think Joe Mixon is going to be the chalkiest guy for the captain spot, but he's going to be my favorite. He is the cover board for this video. The Bengals have been giving him a workhorse role, and he's going to get more catches because they've just been in close games. They've led a lot too, so they haven't had to throw the ball a lot. And you're going to see probably 20 plus rush attempts from this guy a lot of time. Mixon is now the clear number 1 guy. They do want to start running the ball a little bit more than throwing, if obviously game script dependent. But Joe Burrow, he's going to be leading this team. He's just back from injury, of course, and this O-line has had some struggles, so they want to run the ball more just to give take some of the pressure off of Burrow. And this is a 26.5 team total right now, and because they are home favorites, that's definitely always going to favor the running backs. So Joe Mixon, I think, is just going to be my favorite captain. I'm going to have the most of him out of all the players on this slate. And talking about Joe Burrow, so if you're only going to be able to roster 1 QB, it's going to be Burrow over Trevor Lawrence for me. It's just being a second-year quarterback. He's shown, we can't really say he's shown more because Trevor Lawrence has only played 3 games, but Joe Burrow seems to be a very good quarterback. He showed it last year before his injury, and just a high team total. I'm going to like Joe Burrow as my first quarterback over Trevor Lawrence. And then looking at the receivers, so T. Higgins is out, Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd are going to benefit, but Auden Tate's down here at 400. He's going to be probably the chalkiest value play on the slate because just of the price. He was, I think 2 seasons ago probably, the Bengals just used him a lot back then, and he was just a catch monster just because he has one of the best catch radiuses or catch radii in the league. He is 6'5", so he has just a lot of end zone touchdown target upside, and I think just with that $400 price tag, even if he doesn't do anything, you can still win showdowns when you play a guy who gets 0 points at this type of salary if all the expensive players go up. So Tate, I don't think he's going to get 0, but I think you definitely want to play a lot of him just because of just how this slate shakes out to be. So I really like Auden Tate at $400. But looking at the main receivers, so Jamar Chase, he's the most expensive guy. He's almost 3K more expensive than Tyler Boyd. But Jamar Chase is being bumped up by his touchdown ability. He has 4 touchdowns through 3 weeks, but he's caught 11 balls. 11 balls for 4 touchdowns is just totally unsustainable. And so we should see that come down a bit. This is a good matchup, so I wouldn't be surprised if we got another one, especially if T. Higgins out. But I'm going to be more inclined to just go with Tyler Boyd and save that almost $3,000 because Tyler Boyd, he can get touchdowns, and also he's a slot receiver. He can probably make up for it with the PPR scoring. He's going to get a lot more catches probably than Chase, and it's going to depend on ownership, but I think Boyd is my favorite receiver compared to Chase, but of course Auden Tate for value though. And then I guess I should mention Mike Thomas. If you don't want to play Auden Tate, you just praying that Mike Thomas maybe somehow gets more of the work. He only played 20% of snaps, got 4 routes, but all the receivers, all their routes were down last week just because of positive game script for the run game because they were up. So they should see more pass attempts probably, or hopefully, even though they are favored. It's just the Bengals are being at home. They should score a lot of points before they start running the ball a lot. So I'm gonna like a lot of receivers also. It's a 1-game slate, so you gotta approach it differently. Now, tight end. So CJ Uzomah, he played 73% of snaps compared to Drew Sample, who was actually only $200 at the min. Uzomah played 14 routes, and then Sample had 4 routes ran. So Uzomah looks like to be a bit expensive at 4K, just because of his role isn't really meant to be a pass catcher, even with T. Higgins out. So they're just going to rely on more of the receivers and of course Joe Mixon. Now Drew Sample, he's a blocking tight end. You're basically praying for something to happen, but again, similar to these other 1K guys, even if they get 0, allows you to fit the studs if they go off, then it's fine if they get 0. It can actually take something down too. Now, I gotta talk about the kickers next. So for both teams, they're 38 and 3,600. So, okay, Josh Lambo is out. When I was doing my research last night, I did not see that, but so Matthew Wright, I don't know if they're gonna, he's not even gonna be added on the plate, so you can't even play him. But I was gonna say that I'm not because he's missing a lot of extra points and field goals. I prefer McPherson with the higher implied total, meaning that I'm just going to score more points. So I like McPherson, 3,800, but without Lambo, kickers, I probably would rather not play a kicker than probably just try to play tight ends or something and go that route. Defenses, I think they're okay. Bengals 5,600, but defenses I just usually don't like to play, even at showdowns, unless it's like a really big mismatch. So I prefer to go with Joe Mixon at the captain spot. Then I like Burrow. You can always play QBRBs in 1-game slates, so he's right here. And then I'm gonna like Tyler Boyd, and then the rest of the lineup you can fill in with, of course, the value option, so you can be Auden Tate, and then just take 2 of the Jaguars guys like Marvin Jones, D.J. Chark. I favor the receivers again over James Robinson, but if you're playing a lot of lineups, definitely have exposures to a lot of these guys. But I would say these 3 are my favorite Bengals, but for the sake of the lineup, I'm going to put in Jaguars player. It has to be Marvin Jones. I know that's going to look pretty chalky, but 1-game slate, there's always duplicates. So, that's just kind of how it is with these slates. But I'm going to post all of my notes, everything that I went over on my Twitter. And important to note that I do have a new Twitter. It's my name. I'm going to put it down in the description below, and just having to be able to attach a face to the name, also to my videos, I think it's going to help out a lot. Going to be doing that for NBA. Probably going to put out a main slate video for Week 4 of NFL, hopefully on Friday. So hopefully you guys can check that video out. But yes, subscribe to the channel as always. My Twitter will be in the link below. It's WLin018. So good luck on this slate. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments or on Twitter. You can DM me. I'll always be happy to help. So thank you guys for watching, and good luck on this slate. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.